Hey, this is Russ Braun, artist of Six Pack and Dog Welder. You're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
Special episode, yo. I'm excited.
You should be.
Yeah. Everyone should be.
So boom.
Yep. I don't know what it is. He actually likes us. Like, legit. He actually legit likes us, which is... it's crazy. It's crazy.
No accounting for taste.
Right. But we admire your taste because this is 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 922. And I am besieged by a cat, and I'm Vince B.
Aww. I do not have a cat next to me. I did see one downstairs, though. I am David A. Price.
Cats.
I'm part of Team Kendrick because I'm Metro Boomin'.
Oh, I don't know what that means, but you're not Metro Boomy. You're Jason Wood, everybody, here together for this very special episode. Well, you'll hear it, but first we want to tell you who brought this to you. CheapGraphicNovels.com. Pretend there's an echo on my voice. CheapGraphicNovels.com gives you everything you want with a spine. OGNs, manga, trade paperbacks, omnibus editions, all that stuff at a fraction of their price. Here's the deal. Order something, receive the email confirmation, respond to the email confirmation saying 11 O'Clock Comics sent me, and Max will give you free shipping on your next order. Crazy Town. It's a layer of savings on top of another really thick layer of savings. It's so delicious. CheapGraphicNovels.com.
You love the thickness.
I just placed an order for the Superman Triangle Era Omnibus.
Ooh,
Yay!
Cannot wait.
Look at you.
Yep. Can you imagine? You're going to need a wall for all that stuff. I'm estimating 6 omnibus by the time it's done. Right, Dap? Wouldn't you say?
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
I mean, if they go, do you think they'll go up to Action Comics 600?
Probably.
126 issues for the record.
Say again?
126 issues.
Oh, so maybe 5. Because this one,
the first one.
This one has like maybe 18 of each book, plus Man of Steel 1 to, I don't know, 8. So you're talking 32, 48. It's about 40 some issues a pop, which would make it 4, possibly 5 omnibus editions. With all the one, like the Team Luthor one shot and all that stuff.
But they also, I wonder if they're going to also include the Worlds Collide stuff. So there might be some one shots here and there, and because you've got the Supergirl one shot, you've got the Lex Luthor one. They might sprinkle in a few things here and there. So I mean, I don't think that that might constitute a whole additional book, but I don't know how that'll affect the total number of issues.
Remember, wasn't there a time when Superboy crossed over? It became a Triangle book?
I don't think so. I think it was just the 4, because every week.
Yeah.
Every week you got a Superman book.
I'm just wishful thinking.
I mean, obviously Superboy sprung out of
right.
the reign, so I mean, then that was part of the Triangle at the time, but...
Yeah. But anyway, free shipping, yo.
The 53 issues, right? It's the first one.
Nice. Excellent. What's Dap drinking?
For this special episode, I am enjoying the Ardberg 10-year that Sanford gifted us. Was that at Heroes? I think it was at our last Heroes. So,
yeah.
I can enjoy a Scotch, especially the older it is, but I am not a super big fan of the smoky peaty Scotch whiskey, which Ardberg is. It if you're not careful, it can hit you like, for anybody old enough to remember those old Chloraseptic cough lozenges.
Lozengers.
That's what it reminds me of. So I'm enjoying this while we're talking to Sanford, and then it will go back on the shelf until maybe the next time we talk to Sanford.
Nice. Isn't that cute, Jason? He said Sanford gifted us.
He did.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. He came home with me, but he gifted it to us.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right, everybody. Hey, perk up your ears because here is our wonderful talk with the great Sanford Greene. And we'll be back at the end to clean up. So enjoy this.
Indeed, we told you all that we were going to have a special guest this week, and it is a return to the fourth chair. It is our good friend, Mr. Sanford Greene, a gentleman who you all know for a litany of awesome comics, probably most accredited for The Amazing Bitterroot, which I think we're getting more of soon. Maybe we'll talk about that a bit tonight. But he is in the chair tonight mainly to discuss the upcoming massively awesome giant-size one-shot of Doom by himself and Mr. Jonathan Hickman. So let's welcome back our good friend Sanford.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me, man.
So good to have you here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I look forward to this. I'm going to kind of troll Jason for a second. He thought I wasn't excited enough for being on the podcast. Dude, if you could see the grin on my face, knowing that I was going to be on the podcast tonight, you guys would it would be the meme of the year. I was so excited because it's been a minute. It's been a minute being on the podcast and see you guys in person over the last few years at New York and over at Heroes Charlotte, but to be on the podcast, that's extra special.
I think the last time you were on was for Bitterroot, like 2018 or so.
Wow.
Was that?
Yeah, it was, and Vince was out that night. It was just me, you, and it was just
Wow.
the three of us.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember being immensely disappointed that Vince
Yep.
was not on. I
Oh, yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
Well, you're my boo. It's how we roll.
Yeah, we haven't seen
thanks.
you since that fantastic dinner back in October. Are we going to see you at Heroes just to get that out of the way first?
Oh yeah, that's my backyard, man.
Awesome.
That's I'm right there.
Excellent. I'm in a good mood.
Well, before Jason monopolizes the microphone, I just want to go into this book, surface level, nothing but what meets my eyes. And I got to say, it was like a Louisville Slugger to the back of the head when I opened this book. And I'm glad that we're not going to go too deep into the story, because I think this book is one of those rare pieces that each page is stunning in its own right. But when you compound that, it is a work of sequential art. When you compound that, the whole book, it knocks the wind out of you. Like, this thing is massive.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, look, man, the idea, and I'm sure you guys will be asking this, but this was something that was brewing for a bit, probably right after or during New York Comic Con last year. We talked, me and Hickman, we talked about jump-starting his career and getting him going so that he could get a shot. So I told him, sure. I said, sure.
You can hitch onto my wagon.
You can hitch onto my wagon. I'll be happy to lend a hand. And we went back and forth for a while of the timing of it. All jokes aside, but honestly, it was the story was something that I was thinking about for a while. I reached out to Tom Brevoort. Tom Brevoort, if you know his process, he's someone who, if something is a good thing, he will definitely let you know from the beginning. He won't mince words, and this was one of those times where he reached out and he liked the premise of the story, which was a bit surprising. At the same time, I felt like it was a story that was probably, I thought it could have been told a million times already, and it has in some sense, but not quite like this. And it was just the timing as well. He felt like it was a good time to kind of move forward with a story like this. And Will Moss, he came on board shortly after that, and he's been the guide to the ship from that point on. So yeah, this is what we have right now.
It's another thing I want to give you much respect, because you did not in any way rest on your laurels with this book. There is a lot of work in these pages.
Mm-hmm.
And
oh my God, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's bananas. And we obviously have to be careful for those listening about getting into plot specifics, because the book actually hits the stands next Wednesday. So May 15th. Right. But Sanford, and you've put some of this imagery on your socials, so we could talk about it. You took this opportunity. I mean, yes, it is a doom cosmic book, but you took the opportunity smartly to exercise some demons and draw just about every dang Marvel hero that there is. And you had your Art Adams poster moment there. And yeah. So, I'll tell you something. I know that the bar was triumphant, and I know who's happy. I know Felix is very happy.
Yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, there's going to be a feeding frenzy for these pages.
Oh man! Like your Spider-Verse work wasn't enough. Like you just had to go and double down. The work on this is amazing. And I will say, I mean, there've been so many stories featuring Galactus and how the odds that are stacked against the heroes when they have to face him. But as I was flipping through this, your version of Galactus has to be one of the most threatening versions I've ever seen put on. I mean, usually you just see him and he's almost like he's just floating above.
He's just stoic,
like some big deity up in the sky. But I mean, here he is just like, I mean, the facial expressions are one thing. I mean, Kevin Maguire-esque, but it just I mean, just to see what he does and the damage and destruction that he. I mean, obviously we know it, and we've read stories where it's been discussed and talked about, and how scary he is, and we need to be wary. But I mean, to actually see it on the page is just this is such a piece of work. It's amazing.
Well, thanks again, guys. When you're doing a story. One with Doom, and two with Galactus basically going on a rampage, if you will. You kind of need to throw everything at that in terms of the to create the scope. I think that's the biggest thing. Is really I wanted to really create a scope. I was telling this to. I forgot, it was someone might have been Stegman. We were talking about in this little group chat. We were talking about. I sent them the PDF for them to check out. It was Nick Regatta. That's what it was, and he was like, "Yo, this thing is insane," but it feels kind of significant. And I was like, "That's it. That's exactly what I was trying to accomplish with this," because we were all fans of the, I guess you want to call them perennial books, especially the ones in our heyday coming up, the single issues, if you will, the special issues. one shots, whatever, annuals. We're familiar with those things. Kind of Jim Starlin. I think about Jim Starlin and his Death of Captain Marvel. You can even go into Avengers Annual number 10. Those books that made an impact just on the actual book itself, and it left a mark to where it's still being referred to whenever you think or have discussions about perennial stories. And I was trying to create my own little pocket, if you will, of that, or at least pay homage to it, because that's something that I feel in some sense is missing from comics, is that those singular stories that just kind of leave you full, but kind of what you wouldn't mind wanting more of it. And I think that's something that when we were mapping this out, when I was mapping it out, I reached back out to Hickman to help me kind of tie up all the loose ends, if you will, because there was, again, I was branching out into some other. If you saw the ending of the book, that was in a weird kind of way the halfway point, if you will. And he said, "Hey, man, we might need to pace ourselves a little more here." With that, he was fine. He said, if you want to go that route, but there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to have to address in that. And if you want this thing to have kind of that quick impact that will kind of leave a lasting impression, here's some things you can consider. And I took those pieces and moved them around and came up with what we have with the story that we have right now.
It's awesome too that I people don't know this because they don't have it in their hands yet, but for those that think this was like written by Jonathan and drawn by Sanford, that's not the case. In fact, I love that on the cover of the book you get first billing, and in the credits it says Sanford Greene and Jonathan Hickman art, plot, script, because they're full co-creators. But that with that in mind, so what was the process like, right? Because obviously you have written your own stuff. You've done a traditional where you've drawn for other people. I know there's always some collaborative aspects to that process, but how did this, from a creative standpoint, how did this process differ? Given that you both had an equal hand, at least from a credit standpoint, in the whole thing.
Yeah, I was telling this to those guys when we were again having a discussion about just that actual thing, collaborating with Jonathan Hickman. You think about what he has accomplished over the last 15 years, or at least the last decade. He's probably the quintessential scribe of this industry. He's the architect, definitely, for the Marvel Universe as we know it right now. So you can go into that feeling a little intimidated, or at least uncertain of your approach, because one, I'm not necessarily a writer by trade, but I think the thing that made the collaboration it was a great experience. I'll say that. Hickman, with all of those accolades, he really was completely willing to follow my lead. Like every suggestion, every idea, every direction that I was interested in going, he would say, "Sure, if you want to do that, let's go that way. I'll follow your lead." And that was incredibly refreshing. And honestly, he's Hickman. If he had told me that, "Hey man, this is a trash idea, let's go a totally different route," I would bow down and say, sure, you're right. Okay, let's go. You're the guy. You're all, he has the pulse. He has the pulse of the entire Marvel universe, every corner of it, past and present. So who am I to not take any input or direction from someone like that? But for the most part, at every turn, concepts that I wanted to do, especially the things, Vince, that we talked about earlier, what took place and how Doom was able to obtain what he became or will become. That was all my story, and he just kind of took that and put a few pieces together to help it connect a little more, because he's a little more versed with where things are in the Marvel scope in general, or more specifically, he has more of a pulse on that. It's one of the greatest experiences I've had. As crazy as the actual work, illustrating this and doing other components of this story, at the very end, I felt invigorated. I guess is the best way to put it. I hadn't felt like that really ever. I mean, even with working with Bitterroot, I mean, that's a tremendous experience as well. But that it's just a different experience. That's the best way I could put it. I guess the reason why I'm saying this with the Doom story is that for the first time I'm playing with someone else's toys, if you will, and I'm satisfied to put them back. Like, oh, okay, that was fun. That was fun, and I don't want to pick it up again because that experience was so great that I'm totally satisfied if I never do it again. But based on some of the reviews, I might have to pick this thing up again. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the word energized about the collaborative process, because to me that's what Hickman does. Right? He infuses creativity into everything he touches. Take the X books, for example. Gave Marvel a gift of this new status quo that they foolhardily recently abandoned. I don't understand why, but under him, the X books were the best they've been in a very, very long time. And that's what he does. He just makes this creative explosion. And the fact that you walked away from this having felt that's awesome to me, because that means that you guys worked so closely together, bouncing ideas and concepts and everything off each other, you leading the charge, that it's a true collaboration. Not just pictures, not just words, but words and pictures into this story. That the takeaway from me on this book was this book does exactly what I want. Nice. Exactly what I want a Fantastic Four story to do, because what you've done is you've blurred the edges of these characters to the point where the villain is not necessarily 100% villainous. There's a nobility to this person. And then the heroes also have that amorphous edge around them. Like, they're not entirely heroic. There's a reason why they're doing things, but it's not grounded in what we've known, that archetype, that heroic archetype. So when you can get the reader to question, like, maybe this guy's not so bad at all, maybe there's a loyalty or a nobility to this guy that is admirable. It's respectable, right? And then you got Galactus, who isn't he's considered a villain, a monster, but he's really just a cosmic force of nature. Like, he just does what he does, you know?
Yep.
And
Yep.
you transform that too. I don't want to say too much, but it goes places beyond just this character who feeds and leaves and feeds and leaves, right? He steps out of the process. It's just, what I'm trying to say is the whole book is a novel approach to characters we've known for our entire lives.
Right. I mean, man, you said it, said it there, man. The whole premise, and I can say this part. You mentioned Galactus being a force of nature, but just imagine that force of nature becoming more and more of a force, becoming more and more violent. It's almost like during this is a very small example, but just imagine whenever you see hurricanes that they're category 2, then they become a category 5, and they continue to increase and become more and more violent, the more it obtains this mass of water, and the only way it stops is that it has to hit something that could level it off to some degree. I kind of imagine Galactus being sort of like that, going through the entire universe. Like he's just becoming more and more violent. There's a plot in the story that is told about why he's becoming like this and what he is ultimately trying to do to, completely have this continuous force of nature nonstop. Just imagine, a hurricane that's just completely going and it never ends. That's pretty scary. That's pretty unimaginable. So again, that concept, or at least that plot, was something that I thought would be extremely interesting. And you would think something like that would be the main focus of the story. It kind of is secondary to the story, which is again why I felt like the balancing act of trying to tell 2, possibly 3 stories in this one shot was again, I can confidently say the story is mine, but Hickman definitely helped me tie it together even more seamlessly. So that part is, again, I felt like all we needed was a one shot to do it. We were asked to turn this into a miniseries, and I said no. Partly because I got a lot of stuff to do, but the other, if you see, yeah, I know, right? I mean, you see the book, and just imagine trying to do that for 4, 5, 6 issues or whatever. I just, I would need another year to do that. But
plus your life,
it's close to perfect. I mean, the only thing, I would love to see maybe a treasury size.
I was thinking that myself.
Same
There
thing.
you go, bro.
Yeah, like a fall sunrise, Doctor Strange
especially
format.
with this character, especially with Galactus and a massive doom. Yeah, but
Surfer Parable on my shelf. Same thing. That'd be great.
And another thing this story does really well is there are Fantastic Four touchstones planted throughout the narrative. And back in the day, I thought Valeria was an interesting character, not a focal point by any means for me for the series, but it's Valeria's relationship to Doom that I find extremely interesting, because it's the daughter of Doom's greatest rival, his arch enemy, and he's connected her to her in a way that you don't see among heroes and villains. Like that's like Superman being, the godfather to Lex's kid. Like that would never happen.
Right.
But there's again, this is a tease for the book. I will not say, because y'all need to read this, but there's a line that comes out of Valeria's mouth that frickin' broke my heart. And it's amazing. And I thank you for putting that in there. And it made so much sense. Right.
Right.
I just think, again, it's not just cookie cutter heroes and villains. There's dimensions to these characters that you explore in 64 pages. It's insane how much you've packed this book with.
Yeah, man. And that's, again, trying to thread 2, possibly 3 stories within this one self-contained published work. Is that was the tightrope walking that needed to be conducted by Hickman, because I think that the thing with, like, even with Doom and Valeria, to your point, it was always kind of a thing, and it was always something that you knew was there. But I felt like now in this moment, someone like her may be the one person that almost believes in Doom more than he believes in himself, in a way, in a weird kind of way. And there's layers in there. There's layers to even why she would think like that. So, yeah, it's just fun to kind of drop these moments of personal connection in the midst of this gigantic galactic threat. That was fun. That was fun to be able to play with those two juxtapositions.
Right.
Speaking of fun little moments, I have to thank you for the little Secret Wars 10 cover Easter egg on the cover.
Yeah. Just paying homage to, again, all the things that from my childhood, that those touchstone moments, and many of them involved Doom. I think this is part of, actually not, I know this is part of why I wanted to tell the story, because the more, I'm looking at my spinner rack one day and I'm looking at all the, all the cool old school stuff there. And I'm like, wait a minute, Doom is on like half of these covers. And I'm like, Doom has touched every corner of the Marvel. He might be the only character that has involved himself with every corner of the Marvel universe. Obviously the other characters have done that, but in terms of like really, like, I'm speaking of like impact, the Secret War stuff. That's one thing. Way even before that, he dealt with the X-Men. He was like one of the first villains before, roughly around the same time as Magneto. I mean, the dude's been around the X-Men that long. And we all know that how those two facets, Fantastic Four and X-Men, there weren't that much crossover, but Doom was kind of the through line for a lot of that in many ways. Of course, the Avengers and obviously the Fantastic Four, and then you go beyond that. He's had a bout with cosmic entities since the early days of the Marvel universe. So I'm like, yeah, this guy is the pulse of the Marvel universe. We need to highlight that and really pay homage to some degree of the man known as Victor Von Doom.
Yeah, he's even touched the corner of the Marvel universe devoted to magic. Like he's had a lot of interactions with those characters. So yeah, Doom's omnipresent. Yeah.
And he's not. It's not like Daredevil, who's just overseeing Hell's Kitchen or Miles in Brooklyn. I mean, he's a ruler. He's a monarch. So whenever any other Marvel character is approaching that airspace or needs to visit a diplomat or something, like he isn't just and yes, of course, his word is absolute, but he's also the type of it's very easy to label him a villain, but he's a character. He's not like he's not like the Joker. He's not like any of those bad guys that they're just evil or vile.
Right.
He there's a method. He has a reason for everything he does. He doesn't just do things. He's not running around trying to pluck wings off of butterflies. He absolutely just he doesn't. He's not an evil person. He may come across as somebody who you may not want to live under his regime because of how maybe he treats his subjects, but there's still something about him where you absolutely can take him at his word. He's not going to stab you in the back necessarily. There's just he's got the chip on his shoulder. He's got whatever he's got against Reed, but he's still just, if he tells you something, you could pretty much take him at his word and he'll stand by it.
Yeah, well, we just said... sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
We just said, what was it, last episode or the episode before, we were talking about Blood Hunt, right? And there's that Varia doesn't seem to be affected by the Dark Force. And it's like, you expect a certain level of accomplishment from Doom. Like, of course, Doom would have a contingency plan to flood his realm with sunlight, right? And it's almost expected at this point for Doom to be as resilient or more resilient than everybody else. Yeah, maybe except Reed. So it's just I think he is the greatest Marvel quote villain, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think that he's the thing is he's the very definition of a fascist, right? Like he is a fascist leader, but the thing about Doom that makes him fascinating is that, at least in most of his history in the Marvel Universe, it's what if a fascist dictator actually would be the best answer? Like, because, he wants to take over the universe because he thinks he could run it better. And obviously most fascist dictators have that worldview. But Doom, we've seen enough from Doom to be like, well, maybe he would do a better job. Like, maybe Doom would be paradise. Maybe, so that's the fascinating thing about him, is that he's obviously power hungry, but it is in many ways, at least in his mind, for benevolent reasons. Like, he genuinely thinks he would do better for everybody,
And he loves his mama.
He loves his mama.
Yeah.
Mama. That's it. Yeah.
Literally went to hell for his mom.
Yeah. Yep. And we touch on all of that stuff, man, in this book, man. Like you guys were saying, this story is about Doom's hubris and how his hubris can cause a lot of damage, but it can possibly save the universe all at the same time.
Exactly.
Which is what this is about.
Not bad for a dirty gypsy.
Yeah, and that, again, that was one of the takeaways for me, was maybe that hubris is pretty much well grounded. Like, maybe it's real. Maybe he can back all those feelings up with reality. And it's like, say no more. Look at the conclusion of the book. Like, I think it's just brilliant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I don't want this book to be a sleeper. Like, we have to stress that it's not just a Fantastic Four book, or it's not just a Marvel Cosmic book. This book has ramifications for the entire Marvel universe. Mm-hmm. And it's a one-shot. So you got to buy it and you got to read it, because it's one of those things that, regardless of your favorite corner of the Marvel universe, this applies to everything. And it's so well done, yeah.
And I didn't finish. It was just there was other things. I basically, all right, long story. I did not finish Hickman's Fantastic Four run yet. So, but even though I didn't or haven't yet, reading this while I think I feel fits within the story he was telling. It's the fact that you could just pick this up and read it. I mean, even if you're not a Doom fan, you will be by the time you finish reading this. And if you're not, I don't know what's wrong with you. There's just this was I am so glad you put your foot down when they said maybe we can have it drawn out longer than a one shot. It really is just, I mean, from start to finish. It's absolutely one of those perfect comics, and it's a joke depending on how early in the year it is. But I mean, absolutely, this is in the running, if not blown away any other contender of our well, I have a feeling it will be a few people's when they read it after next week. But your favorite one shot of the year when it comes time to our award show. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Definitely appreciate it. And you know, like what you guys are saying, who knows? Based on some of the reviews that I've gotten from folks, you guys included, especially you guys. I think this is something that can be reviewed a little further in the future.
Yeah, there's a lot to chew on here. A lot to say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and special shots to Will Moss, man. He's also kind of like, again, man, he might be. No, I'm not going to say might. He is my favorite editor. I don't know what it's going to do for me work-wise, but I mean, you know, Brevoort, he's up there too, man. Those guys are great. I was just amazed of the amount of, and I understand. Again, this is not my toy box, not my toys, but they allowed me to really just, you know, play with these things in such a way that really I was very what's the word? I guess comforted to know that they put that much trust. And I mean, having, you know, a guy like Hickman in the background, kind of making sure I don't go too far off the rails, that helped. But you know, honestly, that wasn't their decision. That was I asked for Hickman because I knew that he was the type of writer that really has a really good grasp on like the big scope of the Marvel universe. I'm sure there's tons of other writers, but I actually have a relationship with him, so that helps. I've known Hickman before he even got in comics. Before I got in comics, we've known each other for a long time.
You're both Carolina guys, though.
Both Carolina guys. You know, we might be the new title town. Well, not really. I mean, we got the girls basketball. We're ruling the universe with women's basketball right now. Dawn Staley. But you know, we were friends before we got into this crazy industry. So that definitely helped having that relationship. You know, that kind of precedes the comic relationship.
Yeah, you know, and it's actually refreshing to hear you single out Will Moss, because in the 16-ish years we've been doing this podcast, I mean, if there's one area that we've rarely tackled or talked much with creators about, it's the editors. And I do think that, probably unfairly, editors generally only come up when people want to complain, right? Because they'll be about something like, oh, it's the editorial control, you know, like this mysterious editorial control. And they never get the credit for editorial control. They're like, oh man, that story was the bomb. Must have been editor stepping in and make it great. So like on that front, like what makes someone like Will a great editor in this sense? Like, what are his duties? Is it because he gives you input when you need it, but doesn't like overreach? Like, I guess I'm asking, like, what specifically in your mind makes a great like big two editor versus, no shade on anybody else, but maybe someone else you've worked with that their process wasn't quite as gratifying.
I think just it. Okay. I'm trying to be diplomatic here. Being where a lot of us are in our stage of our careers, I think that having editors that really understand the stages of artists, different creators, understanding their place in their careers, if that makes sense. Just knowing that I've been around for a while, I'm not someone who can't, hold a deadline. And then again, I could be someone that's viewed as, blowing deadlines. And I'm speaking in general, editors kind of knowing the lay of the land, knowing who they're working with, whether it's someone who may be super talented, but they may need a little more time creatively, someone who's super energized and a million ideas, and you try to help them rein it in and hone it in, but not stifle them, if you will. Just really having a good pulse on where the different nuances of a creator, if that makes sense. I think and I think most of the good editors they do that. They do that. But I think Will, the reason why I single him out is because he's been doing it since the beginning. I mean, some editors kind of grow; they have to grow into that. I guess he understood it before he really got, before he really, claimed his space that he has now in over at Marvel. I guess that makes sense. He's really good at it. He's really good at kind of letting you walk through the door and making a decision whether you want to stay there. He'll let you walk through the door and he'll ask a few questions. And if the answers isn't really something that makes a whole lot of sense, I guess, then you'll solve it yourself. Even though he's there, but you kind of solve it yourself. And even if you don't solve it right then and there, the problem or the issue or whatever that may occur, he'll give you space. He doesn't immediately give you the answer. He'll say, it'll take a few days, think it over, see if that works. And I appreciate that because it really does allow you to feel like you're, at least for me. I mean, some may want that very by the numbers approach, and he can do that too. I think that's the thing that I'm trying to say is that he can go in both directions. Do you want me to go play by play, or do you want me to kind of give you the grand scope of something and let you put the nuance pieces there?
So it sounds like he's great at reading the room, like you said, like knowing each person and what kind of help or motivation or touch them, light touch or hard touch. He's kind of got that on lock. It sounds like. Yeah.
He's the man.
I remember a quote from an interview I read once, and I don't remember who said this, but it was in relation to editors and creative types. And this guy said, a really good editor won't keep you on a leash, but knows how far back to put the fences. It's a great quote, I think. Like you're not restrained, you can run around in the yard, but only, you know what I mean? Only so far, and they know where to put them. Yeah, well, I don't have to explain it. You get it. And I think it's just a powerful quote. It's reality, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's a great analogy, man, for sure.
Yeah, we like
Go ahead, Vince.
No,
Sorry.
your turn.
No, I was just going to say, because like you said, Sanford, we've known you for a long time, and you've had projects that have run different lengths. So when you wrap something up like this, like, do you take a minute to breathe? Like, do you take a week or two off? Do you not? Like, I know you probably always have a million things you want to do or need to get done, but like, do you disconnect at all? Like after something's wrapped up, just for a minute, or is that not your process?
This might have been the first time where I could have kept going, or at least I could have jumped into something else. But I think that what I was just being a lot more self-aware to not do that. So I that's part of why we can talk right now, because I'm gearing up to do the next thing right now, but I'm not so far ahead to where it's like I didn't really have a lot of room to breathe. And the more I started thinking about it, the more there's this weird kind of, I'll call it misconception for creators that you have to keep multiple plates spinning, and that might be true in some level, but those plates shouldn't all be the same level of speed, if that makes sense. It's like, you shouldn't have 5 plates spinning at the same rate. That's insane. Maybe those 5, one's just starting, one's finishing, the other 3 are at different levels as well, to where you're just kind of, you're able to move and navigate on those things a little more seamlessly, and not feeling like you're doing, again, 5 at once. And I know that can be challenging, especially as a freelance creator. You want to, again, have multiple streams financially, so that you could always have that security, if you will, of knowing these things are providing for yourself or family. But I think with working with this, that was part of what made this something that I was trying to create. You guys mentioned the Felix earlier. When I first started this, we were mapping out the story. I started thinking about that, and there was a part of me that said, man, if I do a series or a mini series of this, that's a whole other thing from a financial standpoint.
The vacation home.
It's a vacation home. But I also said, what if you could try to find a way to make it that still in some way, by just doing, a more finite approach to the story. And there's several things that is taking place that will make what this story is have even more meaning. I'll leave it there. So
Right.
once I knew that kind of even helped, that kind of helped my decision to keep it at a finite one shot. That definitely helped it. Helped me make that decision a little quicker. But yeah, I just say all that to say, being, knowing what this thing would potentially be, what it will become, and all those different factors. I saw, just from a business standpoint, if you will, where doing it this way just made a lot more sense in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, I mean, I was joking that it's almost a perfect comic, and that's only because you have every character in there and you don't have Domino in there. But I'll get over it. It's fine. It's fine. You got Beast in the right version of Beast. You got Taskmaster. So hey, it's all good. It's all good. I get it.
She died earlier, off pages.
Jason, you're mistaken. She is in there.
Oh man, now see,
She's under some rubble.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I'll leave it to you. I'll leave it to you to find her.
Jason's going to be all Sherlock Holmes with a magnifying glass.
Sure.
Indubitably.
She is in it.
It is perfect then. There we go. I also, we won't spoil it, but I love your choice for the Heralds of Galactus, but we won't say that's a big reveal, but I loved it. I thought it was so clever. So
yeah. And I had to do some research because I thought there was, well, without going too far into that, we had a discussion about the Heralds because we wanted to, obviously Galactus being known for eating planets and taking one of the last remaining species from that planet and making them a herald. Talking about pillaging, that dude is the ultimate pillager. And we had discussions about that, and it felt like it needed to, again, if you're going to do something, you got this window. What can you do that would make even more of an impact when it comes to that? We had some other ideas. I'll tell you guys off the record what it was. I just felt like this direction was definitely the way to go, because of some previous stories in the Marvel universe, but stories that didn't necessarily involve these characters as heralds, but it makes sense that they are the heralds.
Absolutely agree.
So,
yep. Nice. Well, listen, much congratulations. I don't know if you may remember, but like you said, you kind of sort of really putting the momentum behind this at New York Comic Con, and we were at that aforementioned dinner with you, and you probably fresh off the meeting, you said, I can't tell you a lot about it, but there's this thing I might be working on at Marvel. It's going to be big if it happens. And I mean, I think we now know what it was, and you made it. You did your thing, man. It's a masterpiece. It really is awesome. And like you said, I think it shouldn't be lost on anyone that I think one of the real triumphs here is that it's a one shot, because that is a lost art. And I understand why one shots aren't very popular anymore. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not saying it would make sense to have the shelves filled with one shots, but I think that there's some magic to it with that this, because it's like, it reminds me of like those European graphic novellas, which we don't have that format here much, but if you look at comics in Europe, they're all often like 50, 60 page hardcover graphic novellas, right? That just tell a chapter or two of a story, and they stand alone, and this really felt like that. So congrats, man. I hope you're as proud of it as I think you should be.
Oh, dude, I'm even more proud of it for what I was able to put into it from a scribe standpoint. You of all people, I'm surprised you didn't mention this. I mean, it's a bit of a spoiler because I don't want. It's not a spoiler in the story, but it's a spoiler in terms of an Easter egg, if you will. But it's in the writing of it. There's something that I put in there several places. And one place is at the very beginning. There's something that was said at the very beginning that is from I'll have to tell you off record, because I want people that that know when they see it, if they see how it's written, they will see. They will see. They will see. I'm sorry.
I was going to say. I mean, I know we're talking about the opening page, the text on the first page, but I didn't want to spoil that. Like I think that's
okay.
It's a spoiler, man. Like that's a spoiler.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
it's a spoiler that probably will be lost on like a big chunk of the readers because they're not hip hop fans. But I think for some percentage of people, and there's certainly, we know that there's overlap that are hip hop fans. I think it'll connect. So there's a massively awesome hip hop Easter egg in several spots. It makes all the sense in the world. But again, I think we should there because we don't any other further elaboration, and it's going to spoil the who and the whys.
Right. Yeah. Okay. As long as you caught it, that wasn't. Look, that was not meant for.
Come on, of course I caught it.
Can I live?
Vince caught it too.
Oh, for sure. I still don't know what you're talking.
That's the one who told Jason.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He sent Jason a message. It was amazing. It's the most beautiful thing.
I figured it was all Vince, man. Jason,
you know how Vince rides. He drives the bus, man. We can't do anything without his say so.
I think before we bring this to a close, we got to give a little tip of the hat to Rachelle, because I thought her work on this perfectly complemented yours.
Thank you.
Yeah,
she came through, and man, we again, I'm just lucky to have a great team, if you will. Obviously, with Hickman, his name being on it just kind of gives it that it's kind of surreal to some degree, to be right beside him, in terms of credit, with this, and that's a pretty surreal thing, man. Shout outs to Marvel for allowing me to take these toys and to do some crazy things with it.
Where did it was I didn't want to interrupt Jason.
Oh no, I was just saying you did it. No, go ahead, Dan.
Where did based on this and knowing what you told us already, where did Hickman's Fantastic Four run fall for you compared to Stan and Jack and or Wade and Ringo? I'm not going to mention Miller and Hitch, but was Hickman's run, did that hold a special place in your heart?
Truth be told, it was his Secret Wars too that made an impact the most. If you're mentioning Hickman, any stories that Hickman was at the helm of, his Secret Wars was the one that really kind of opened a lot of the things that you see in the book, especially those heralds. That kind of was inspired from that story. I'm a big admirer of the Wade, the Wade Ringo Fantastic Four. Even though what's in this story is nothing like that, but the fun aspect of it, that aspect of it, even though this story isn't that fun, but there's moments in this story that can take you back, like I said, to those days as a kid. You open up that Kirby or what have you, you see that big scope of the Marvel universe, and it just leaves an impression on you. That's what this is all about.
For sure. Awesome, man. Well, listen, I'm sure this thing's going to sell through the roof. I hope the rest of your chats go well, but we can't wait to see you, man. It's only going to be like a month and a half, I guess, until we see you.
Jeez, don't remind me, man. I got a lot of stuff.
So you got another one shot to do?
I got a series to do, man. I got a
Uh-huh.
series. I got a series to do, man.
Series we talked about 2 years ago at your house.
It just might be, man. Look, man, it's like, truth be told, between Spider-Verse and the Doom thing, and mainly those things that took up a lot of time. And we had, the guys, they're doing their stuff too. They got other stories outside of other projects outside of the comic industry that really took a lot out of them. And so we just, I needed to clear my schedule mainly to really kind of get moving forward on this. And I got some stuff I can sneak you guys and show you some visuals that I think would get you guys excited.
Right on, let's do it.
Yeah. Our plan is to have something. We're going to announce the next arc, or at least show some visuals by San Diego. We'll have some stuff to show off. And I don't know when we will launch, but we're still in discussions with that. We're just trying to find a time that makes the most sense and have the most impact. We got some ideas, but we'll hopefully by San Diego we'll have all that stuff ironed out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, much love to you. I hope the family's doing well, and we look forward to giving you a big hug and dapping you up in Charlotte.
Absolutely, man. Look forward to it. I don't know if I have any. Let's see. I got this project that I did with. It's another whiskey. I don't know. I might be the go-to guy for or at least the one. I don't know what that says about me, but I keep getting these projects working on these different liquors, package design and stuff.
Suave, you know what I mean?
I guess.
Well, I mean, just for you tonight for the beverage, I am enjoying the Ardbeg you gifted us.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet, cool, man, cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a little too potent for me, man. I'm a wimp when it comes.
Yeah,
to
no, I am not big on the Scotch,
That's tonic myself.
Yeah.
especially the peaty stuff. But this is a special occasion.
Well, hey, man, that's definitely something you need to pace yourself when it comes to. It's pretty intense stuff, man. But yeah, I'll see if I can put together another little care package for you guys.
Sweet.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Well, we'll see you in a few, and I can't wait for everyone else to be able to get their hands on this and marvel at it. No pun intended.
Oh.
Yeah, man, your homework is to find that domino. Yeah,
when we're done the show, I'm going to look. Yeah, because I made a point of trying to find all the characters I love, and I didn't see her. But I'm happy to hear that I was just that I just missed it. So there you go.
And I'll give you a hint. It's well, no, I'm not going to do that.
No, don't give him a hint.
Let's not do that.
Nah, that's all good.
It's like giving a kid a Where's Waldo book. Let's keep him occupied for a good while.
That's right. All right, man. We'll be good. Have a great night, and we will soon.
All right, man. See you guys in a bit.
All right,
Have
peace
a good
and love.
night, man.
Yep, peace.
How about that? Sanford is too nice of a human being to like us as much as he seems to like us.
Yeah, it's baffling, but I appreciate it. I love it. It's great. And I think I know I'm going to catch heat from either one of you for saying this, but I think this book visually is the apex of his career to date.
I mean,
There'll be more, and he'll get higher. But for right now, I think that this book is such a gut punch. It's so stunning. And the thing about it is, most of the pages are cinematic. They're big. They're widescreen. Yeah. They're not. It's clever because they are full page splashes, but in some instances they're not. But they look like full page splashes, and I think it was a really smart approach. It's going to knock people on their asses, and yeah, you just got to get it because it's a rare beast.
But it's no bullshit too, in the sense that we, after doing this for as long as we've done it, we get sent lots of stuff to review, a lot of times from people we're friendly with, and a lot of it is good. Don't get me wrong, but I thought like one shot, right? You're like, well, standalone one shot, like that's weird, right? Like that's an odd thing for Marvel or DC these days, unless it's specifically a one shot tied into an event of the moment, and they just want to get like some character to have some kind of pull into the book. But yeah, to your point, I mean, this crushed it. I mean, this is easily one of the best one shots I've read out of the big two in a long, long time. I mean, I can't.
Long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So make sure you get it. It's on sale next Wednesday, people. Get it. Get it. Worth every penny.
Well, there are the bills,
Yeah. All right. Well, we're glad the interview ran a little long, so we're just gonna pick up the pieces and run with them right now. And we are so glad that you came this week, and we hope you come next week because there'll be more of this, only just us. So we love you. Say goodnight. My boy's making me shrimp tacos.
Oh yeah, Vinny Beast is cooking at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, he loves to cook.
Nice.
Look at that.
David, yeah. Yep. That's why I'm trying to get him to go to culinary school, but he won't. He won't do it.
Hard hours, man.
Yeah, he changed his major to photography.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He loves taking pictures.
David.
Loves the artistry of it, but yeah.
Great.
Yeah, didn't go over well with his mom, but whatevs.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, me too. But I would much rather do what I love and not make a lot of money than do what I fucking hate and make a living.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So.
I had lunch with a prospective new client not too long ago, and we were talking about our families and whatnot. One of his kids is a professional photographer in New York, and he was similarly dismayed because she went to a very elite college and kind of switched into the major. And he's a very accomplished doctor, and he was like, at first, like, I don't know about this. This is pretty crazy, but fast forward, and it was her passion. To your point, she loved it, and she was good at it, and now she's got a very successful high-end studio in New York doing
Good
this stuff.
for her.
Yeah, so I think pursuing your passion is there's no easy path to success, but being passionate about what you do is probably the closest thing to a shortcut, right?
Yeah. True that. All right, we're out. We love you. Tell them that.
Love you.
Mucho amor, por favor.
That's it for that one.